I'm here with Penn State head coach James Franklin. Coach, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, appreciate the opportunity.
No, I appreciate you sitting down with us and taking the time. I want to start with this. You lose two outstanding defensive players, Jason Oweh and Stick City, Micah Parsons.
That's right.
How are y'all planning to replace that production, let alone that leadership?
Well, I think it starts with recruiting, right? You got to do a great job every single year to go out and recruit, and then most importantly, you got to develop them once they get on campus. So I think we've done a good job of that. We're LBU. We got a great history of producing big-time linebackers like Micah Parsons, but we also have a number of those guys in our program right now. So I think people will be impressed with our linebacker unit. I'm not necessarily saying we're going to replace Micah's production. We didn't have Micah last year anyway with the opt-out. And then Jason Oweh, big, strong, fast, former basketball player who really developed at Penn State. And we got some guys like that as well. So, we're excited. Obviously, like you're saying, it's a lot of production we got to replace. Fortunately, we're really just replacing one based on last year.
Well, you can make the same argument, I think, at running back. Like, one of the telltale signs for me was you go four deep at tailback. And I didn't know you could go for it. Like, people talk about being able to go four deep at tailback, but you rarely get to see that. What is it like for you to know that you have that kind of depth on your roster?
Well, again, that goes to the opposite of that last year. So before the season started last year, we lost our starting tailback before the season started. Then the third play into the first game of the season, we lose our second tailback for the season. So that put us in a situation where we had two true freshmen that were thrust into the fire. So with that combination, as well as those guys coming back from injuries, or at least one of them come back from injuries, that's created that type of depth. I think the Doak Walker Award, we're the only program in the country with 3 guys on that list, so that obviously helps. But after last year, it showed you better have the depth. We'll always play 3 running backs. That's to keep them healthy, not just at Penn State, but also for their future long terms. But it also puts us in a situation where we could, have a 4th back that we feel like is going to be capable as well.
Why do you think Mike Yurcich is the right guy to lead your offense?
I've been following Mike for a long time. Mike's got a very unique resume. Coached in the conference that I played in. He played in that conference as well, small Division II conference in the state of Pennsylvania. Then made a very non-traditional jump from Shippensburg to Oklahoma State, which you don't see very often. Had a bunch of success at Oklahoma State, and then obviously, was at Ohio State and then Texas. So for me, as a guy I've been tracking for a long time, I had conversations with him a year ago. So to bring him back home, he spent a lot of his professional career in the state of Pennsylvania. Him and his wife both went to college in the state of Pennsylvania. So an opportunity to bring him back, be explosive down the field, put people in conflict, make people defend 53 1/3 the width of the field, get athletes in space. Really how we have played for the majority of my Penn State career.
Is it fair to say that when Sean Clifford is golden, y'all are golden? In that when he plays really well, y'all play really well?
Well, I think you could pretty much say that for any quarterback and any football program. I think your point is a good one. You go as pretty much as far as your quarterback will take you. And, I try to remind people that, a year ago, everybody was talking around the country, Sean Clifford is one of the best quarterbacks in college football and in the argument of the top 2 quarterbacks in the Big Ten. He's still that guy. He won 11 games the year before, Cotton Bowl championship, New Year's Six bowl game, all those types of things. And I think he'll be better because of the experience. I don't think there's any doubt about it. He's handled it the right way. He's attacked it head on. I think Sean's going to have a big year for us.
So, Coach, I want to switch gears here, ask you what I think are some fun questions. The first one is, what is the last job you had before going into coaching?
I worked in a psychiatric facility in Philadelphia, suburban Philadelphia. Yeah, I got my undergraduate degree in psychology, so I worked in an adult and an adolescent psychiatric facility. And that's why I'm coaching. That's why I'm coaching.
Okay, the right profession. I gave this to your players as well. If you could pick a movie football player to join your team, who would it be?
None of them. They're bad. Have you ever seen those guys? It's bad. And I think for football people, you watch it and it doesn't work. Like you watch their movements or the things they say. I don't know if I could say any of them. Typically, when I watch sports movies and they're actors, usually it's bad. It's bad usually. But that's just like an athlete or a football player trying to act. That usually doesn't end well. Or rap, that doesn't usually end well, right? We try to get outside of our wheelhouse and.
Rap I'm gonna let you have, but I enjoy The Rock's movies. I enjoy his movies.
Correct, but when you, yes, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, we'll talk off camera.
Coach, take a look at these right quick.
Okay.
I have the, let's call it arrogance, to put together an all-time offense and defense in the Big Ten. Now, I understand have been members forever, but when you take a look at those, who would you add?
And you're saying this is all time? You're saying that these guys that you have on here are the greatest that ever played in the Big Ten?
I'll take my team against yours.
Wow. I don't know. That's hard to say. I'm not saying that I disagree with you, but I hadn't had the time to kind of think about this and look at this and study this.
Well, you got another sheet there to consider.
I probably like your defensive one a little bit better.
It's because you see LeVar Arrington over there. So.
Well, that's part of it, but also there's more guys that I think have been tested over time, and there's some guys that I don't know if have been tested over time on here that I would agree with.
Well, I should also say I considered their college careers, but that's about it.
But what I'm saying is, when you talk about Charles Woodson, not only did he dominate from before, but it's been, 20 years? And you still put him in that argument.
And you still haven't seen another defensive
Correct.
player.
Well, there's guys on the offensive one that just got done, and they haven't stood the test of time yet. So.
This is the Archie Griffin argument. This is the one.
I don't have a strong opinion to trump on any of these,
All right.
but that's my argument. Some of these guys, I don't know if they have stood the test of time to be on here. Like Orlando Pace, that you could say up to that point and after, he deserves on this. There's nobody that's knocked Orlando Pace off of this list. It's hard for me to put a guy on the list that just got on here. Again, if you're talking college football, I think Saquon trumps Ezekiel.
Okay.
Now, if you're factoring in what Ezekiel's done in the NFL as well, that's a different conversation.
Okay.
But in terms of just college, I think it's hard to argue with Saquon.
Okay. Coach, I could keep you here talking about this, but I will not.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. Penn State head coach James Franklin, thank you much, sir.
Thank you.